From Oliver Saxon being a perfect representation of envy, to Sonia being the perfect representation of kindness, across all 8 seasons, every major character in the series seemed to embody one of the 7 deadly sins, or their heavenly opposites, the 7 heavenly virtues. In this video, we're going to break down the 7 deadly sins versus the 7 heavenly virtues as Dexter characters. Starting with Raph as Sergeant James Doakes. Sergeant Doakes channeled pure wrath in his hunt for Dexter Morgan. His sharp instincts recognized Dexter's darkness when all everyone else saw was an awkward lab geek. Doakes' confrontation with Dexter escalated from the beginning, starting with his infamous catchphrase,
"You give me the fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter?"
But it wasn't long before his suspicion manifested in increasingly aggressive behavior. It started with tailing Dexter, then investigating his past, and finally breaking into his apartment. It became an obsession that consumed his professional and personal life. The tension reached its boiling point when Doakes discovered Dexter's box of blood slides hidden in his air conditioner. Determined to bring Dexter to justice, Doakes followed him to the Everglades cabin, setting up their final confrontation. Despite being a trained special ops soldier, Dexter was able to take Doakes down and cage him like an animal. The aftermath was tragic. Lila West burned down the cabin, leaving Doakes to die in an explosion. His charred remains were found alongside body parts, cementing his false legacy as the Bay Harbor Butcher. Doakes' wrath was his own undoing. His anger-driven pursuit caused him to rush into danger alone instead of building a case methodically. His instincts were right about Dexter, but his approach ensured that he would never live to prove it. While Doakes' wrath burned hot and fast, Trinity's pride was a slow, suffocating poison, just as destructive, but far more controlled. The Trinity Killer wore pride like armor, constructing America's most convincing disguise as a church deacon, family man, and community hero while secretly taking lives, one after the other. For 30 years, no one suspected the monster beneath the mask. Arthur's world operated through perfect control, a perfect house, an immaculate car, and a set, strict routine. His public image commanded respect, while at home, his pride manifested as tyrannical dominance over his terrorized family. Each 4 walls, 1 heart plaque represented not charity, but trophies from his nationwide killing spree. When Dexter infiltrated Arthur's life as Kyle Butler, Trinity's pride blinded him to the threat. He believed himself invincible, the uncatchable killer who had perfected his craft across 3 decades. His arrogance culminated in walking brazenly into Miami Metro, confident he could intimidate Dexter in his own workplace.
You can't control the demon inside of you any more than I could control mine.
Even on Dexter's kill table, Arthur refused to cower, lifting his chin to face death while declaring everything was God's plan. His final act, murdering Rita, was pride's ultimate statement, proving that Dexter could never escape his true nature. Trinity's raid ended not through police work or his own mistakes, but because his pride made him underestimate the one person who truly understood him, Dexter Morgan. One masked his darkness with discipline, the other tried to merge with Dexter's completely, no matter the cost. Like a flame consumes everything it touches, Lila West embodies lust in its most dangerous form, not merely desiring Dexter Morgan, but craving total possession of him. Her pale skin, dark hair, and exotic accent lured him in ways Rita's innocence never could. From the first meeting at Narcotics Anonymous, Lila recognized the darkness beneath Dexter's mask. Under the guise of sponsorship, she drew him into her web, starting from intense conversations to passionate encounters, breaking into homes for sex, filling her loft with burning candles, urging him to embrace his darkest urges rather than suppress him. Lila's lust went beyond the physical. It was a consuming need for emotional ownership. When Dexter pulled away, she set fire to her apartment for sympathy, broke into Rita's home, and manipulated Santos Jimenez to create a crisis that would drive Dexter back to her. Each move proved her willingness to burn down the world to keep him. When rejected, Lila kidnapped Dexter's stepchildren and set her loft ablaze with them inside. Her parting words,
"Could have had it all, Dexter,"
captured her destructive obsession perfectly. If she couldn't have him, no one would. In Paris, Lila met her end at Dexter's hands, the only lover he ever killed, her dangerous lust finally extinguished. If you're enjoying this breakdown of Dexter's deadliest sins, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos just like this. Next up, I've got Miguel Prado representing greed. Miguel Prado hungered not for wealth, but for something far more intoxicating: absolute power over life and death. As Miami's assistant district attorney, he hid in plain sight as justice's champion while harboring darkness that rivaled Dexter's own. Behind Miguel's charming exterior lurked a man who bent rules and imprisoned innocents rather than admit mistakes. His chance encounter with Dexter after his brother's accidental death ignited a deadly alliance that spiraled beyond control. What began as gratitude for Freebo's death transformed in a calculated apprenticeship. Each step deeper into Dexter's world, from witnessing kill room preparations to taking Billy Fleeter's life under Dexter's guidance, only intensified Miguel's appetite. He wanted not just the thrill of killing, but freedom from all constraints.
I'll do what I want, when I want, to whomever I want.
When Miguel murdered defense attorney Ellen Wolf against Dexter's wishes, his true nature emerged. He wanted to remove an obstacle and prove he answered to no one. He graduated from student to rogue killer, rejecting Dexter's code for unbridled power. Miguel's downfall came after threatening Dexter's family and setting the Skinner on him. Strapped to a kill table in Ellen Wolf's house, his manipulations finally failed, dying as he lived, grasping for control until his final breath. In death, Miguel gained what he coveted most: immortality through a highway interchange bearing his name, while his true nature remained buried. Where Miguel sought power by trying to kill like Dexter, the next one wanted something even more twisted. He didn't want to be Dexter, he wanted to erase him. Oliver Saxon's envy burned with such intensity it left excised brain matter and shattered lives in its wake. As the brain surgeon, this perfect psychopath transformed jealousy into an art form, taking whatever he wanted. Saxon's corrosive envy began when he drowned his younger brother, who commanded their mother's affection. After enduring years in a psychiatric facility, he emerged reborn as Oliver Saxon, returning to Miami for one purpose: confronting his mother and her surrogate son. The brain pieces left on Dr. Vogel's doorstep were trophies, but they were also desperate messages from a child trying to reclaim his birthright. When Saxon discovered Dexter Morgan, his envy reached its apex. Here stood his mirror image, another killer, yet Dexter had secured what Saxon craved: his mother's approval, a convincing disguise, and a family. His jealousy manifested in a systematic campaign to destroy everything Dexter had, beginning with Zach Hamilton, Dexter's protege.
Mother chose the wrong son. Again.
The true depth of Saxon's envy was revealed when he slit his mother's throat while Dexter watched helplessly. If he couldn't have her love, neither would his replacement. His jealousy-fueled vengeance culminated in shooting Deborah, accomplishing what no other adversary could, forcing Dexter to abandon his life entirely. While Saxon's envy drove him to destroy what he couldn't have, Paul's downfall came from the opposite vice. He expected everything without lifting a finger. Paul Bennett's sloth was defined by his complete refusal to take responsibility and his constant pursuit of the path of least resistance, leaving others to carry the weight of his obligations. He embodied entitlement in its purest form, expecting the world to bend to his will without putting in the time to earn it. Instead of holding legitimate jobs, Paul dealt drugs. Rather than managing his violent impulses, he unleashed them on Rita. His prison sentence could have been a wake-up call, but he merely went through the motions for early release, never genuinely caring. When Paul returned to Rita's life, his entitlement was insane. Despite his history of abuse, he expected to waltz back into their family home as if nothing had happened.
You fucking my wife?
His disregard for restraining orders and manipulation of his children revealed a man unwilling to do the difficult work of rebuilding trust. He simply wanted what he wanted, regardless of consequences. Paul's sloth turned to rage when confronted with Dexter, who filled the role that Paul had abandoned. Rather than acknowledging his failures, Paul chose intimidation and threats. He tried buying his children's affection with circus tickets instead of providing a consistent presence in their lives. The ultimate price came when his drunken intrusion into Rita's home led to imprisonment after Dexter's intervention. Even then, Paul refused accountability, blaming others for his circumstances until his prison death sealed his legacy of unfulfilled potential. So with all the sins done, now we can move on to the heavenly virtues. But before we do that, I just want to remind you to subscribe with notifications if you're enjoying the video so far. Starting with Rita Morgan, who represented chastity. Rita Morgan didn't represent chastity in the traditional sense though. She wasn't prudish, she was protective, a survivor of abuse. She guarded her body and heart, not out of fear, but from a fragile belief that real love was still possible, even after everything. When first introduced, Rita was a timid single mother who flinched at physical contact, traumatized by Paul's violations. Her relationship with Dexter developed slowly on trust rather than passion. As Dexter noted, she was damaged in her own way.
She's perfect because Rita is, in her own way, as damaged as me.
Creating the perfect cover for his dark passenger while offering unexpected genuine affection. What made Rita remarkable was how her chastity evolved from fear-based avoidance to conscious choice. As she healed and gained confidence, she didn't abandon her virtue, but redefined it. Her growing intimacy with Dexter was careful cultivation of what she believed was mutual respect and honesty. The tragic irony was that Rita's wholesome belief in Dexter's goodness, her faith that beneath his awkwardness lay a decent man, proved both right and catastrophically wrong. Dexter did grow to care for her, yet her inability to see the monster beneath his mask led to her demise. Rita's bathtub murder became the show's most heartbreaking moment. Chastity and innocence punished for unwittingly getting too close to darkness. While one found strength and restraint, the others mastered the art of balance. Two quiet virtues in a world that rewarded chaos. But before we can get to that, could anyone come close to Rita here? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, back with Angel Batista, who represents temperance. Angel Batista walked in the middle path in a department that constantly veered towards extremes. His temperance was active choice to remain balanced when chaos swirled around him, a steady lighthouse guiding Miami Metro through his darkest storms. While colleagues like Doakes and Quinn's let emotions cloud their judgment, Angel always considered all angles of each case. This measured approach extended beyond his work into every relationship, making him the department's moral compass and trusted confidant, even to Dexter, who recognized in Angel the humanity he could only pretend to possess. Angel's temperance faced its greatest test when personal and professional boundaries blurred. When departmental politics blocked his advancement, he maintained his integrity rather than compromising his values. And when his girlfriend was assaulted, he sought legal justice over vigilante retribution, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to proper process.
I destroyed my marriage. I lost my little girl. I'm a divorced cop, halfway down the road to a full-blown cliche. And I needed to fight that loneliness.
His rare moments of lost control, beating an officer for disrespecting LaGuerta, or confronting Quinn for degrading his sister, were quickly followed by introspection and a return to center. Unlike others who doubled down on mistakes, Angel always found his way back to balance. In a world where everyone harbored secrets, Angel's temperance offered something precious: authenticity without extremes, a middle path that never compromised what mattered most. One lived by balance, quietly holding his world together. The next gave everything: his peace, his identity, even his life, just to keep others safe from the monster within. But before we move on to Dexter, first I want to remind you again to subscribe because I'm trying to hit 100K before the end of the week. I mean, a guy can dream, right? Next we're going to talk about Dexter Morgan, who represents charity. Now, Dexter Morgan was charity in its most brutal form. A killer of killers who turned his darkest urges into a twisted form of public service. Born from trauma and molded by Harry's code, he redirected what could have been mindless violence into a mission to eliminate the monsters no one else could see. While most people sacrifice time or money, Dexter gave something far more costly: his humanity. He risked his freedom, his relationships, and eventually his life to protect strangers who would never even know. The only reward he ever sought was silence, the brief calm after his dark passenger had been fed. Beyond his vigilante work, Dexter's charity extended to protecting Lumen from her abusers, mentoring troubled Zach Hamilton, and sparing those who crossed his path but didn't fit his code, showing mercy when killing would have been easier.
Harry was right. I thought I could change what I am, keep my family safe. But it doesn't matter what I do.
The ultimate test came when he was faced with choosing between happiness and protecting those he loved. After Rita's murder revealed the consequences of his double life, Dexter questioned whether his mission was truly charitable or merely justification for bloodlust. This ended in faking his death and exiling himself, sacrificing everything to shield Hannah and Harrison from his darkness. Where Dexter gave everything to protect his secret, she gave everything to uncover it. One acted from the shadows, the other walked straight into them. Maria LaGuerta personified diligence in its purest form, a relentless determination that propelled her through the ranks of Miami Metro despite every obstacle in her path. You could see it from day one. LaGuerta's diligence was clear from her earliest days as a detective. Rising through a male-dominated department as a Cuban-American woman required twice the effort for half the recognition. While her methods sometimes crossed ethical boundaries, she knew that she could make a real difference in a position of authority, a belief that ultimately proved correct when she became the only person to truly see through Dexter Morgan's carefully constructed facade.
We can't ignore the facts. The Bay Harbor butcher took blood slides from his victims. Dexter is a blood spatter analyst, and Doakes always thought there was something off about Dexter.
LaGuerta's greatest strength was her refusal to let things go. Even when the Bay Harbor butcher case was closed, she wouldn't accept that James Doakes was guilty. Years later, a single blood slide reignited her suspicions, and she pursued the truth, risking her career, reputation, and life. As she closed in on Dexter, her allies turned away, but she kept going. She released Hector Estrada, set the trap, and walked into the shipyard alone. Her pursuit of justice never wavered, even in the face of death. In a corrupt department, LaGuerta stood alone. Diligence didn't just define her, it doomed her. But that's what makes her unforgettable. She didn't just want justice, she became it. While one fought for justice with relentless force, the next brought healing in silence, proof that in Dexter's world, even small acts of kindness could leave a lasting mark. In the violent, secret-filled world Dexter Morgan called home, Sonia brought something rare, unshakable kindness. After Rita's brutal murder, she stepped in as Harrison's nanny to watch over him and to help rebuild something resembling a home. She offered stability, warmth, and care when both father and son were emotionally wrecked. Her background as a nurse gave her the tools to handle Harrison's physical needs, but it was her gentle spirit that helped soothe the emotional trauma no one talked about.
Saint Bridget, circle us with your light so that no darkness shall overcome our world.
Sonia's kindness reached beyond the baby. With Dexter, she showed grace even when he disappeared for long stretches or returned late without warning. When she briefly left, it was to make a point, and when she came back, it was forgiveness in action. She gave him another chance, recognizing that even a man as distant as Dexter loved his son deeply. Without knowing it, she put herself at risk every day by being in that apartment, yet her compassion never faltered. Whether placing a saint statue over the crib or organizing Harrison's birthday, Sonia created peace in a space defined by chaos. Her kindness was comfort, and it changed the energy of the entire Morgan household. When one offered comfort through quiet presence, the next waited in silence with something far darker in mind, proof that patience can heal or destroy. Brian Moser turned patience into a weapon. For decades, he waited to reunite with his brother and to lure him to a life of blood and truth. After witnessing the trauma that split them apart in that shipping container, Brian played the long game. He fooled therapists, fake normalcy, and waited until the world let him out. Then the real work began. He built an identity as Rudy Cooper, inserted himself into Dexter's world, and orchestrated murders that were messages especially created for Dexter. Every scene mirrored their childhood trauma, each one carefully staged to pull Dexter's memories back into the light. But the most chilling example of Brian's patience was Deborah. He dated her for weeks, smiled through family dinners, and planned her death the whole time. It was a long, slow move meant to free Dexter by forcing him to let go of the one thing holding him back, human connection.
You can be yourself with me. Your real, genuine self.
Brian's end came when Dexter chose Deb over blood, but even as he died, Brian didn't fight. He understood, because patience wasn't just his strategy, it was who he was. And that's what makes him terrifying. Not the kills, not the lies, but the quiet, unwavering belief that if he just waited long enough, Dexter would finally be his. Once waited in silence, convinced he knew who Dexter truly was, the other lived beside him, never pretending to know. And that's what made her real. Deborah Morgan didn't wear humility on her sleeves, but it ran through everything she did. She cursed like a sailor, walked like she owned the room, and it made you believe that she had it all figured out. But under all that bravado was someone who constantly questioned whether she truly deserved any of it. And that's what made her different in an apartment full of arrogance. She never stopped doubting herself.
Just don't fuck with my investigation, you fuck.
Deb didn't for one second envy Dexter's brilliance. She admired it. She worked twice as hard to prove she belonged, yet she rarely gave herself credit. Even after solving high-profile cases and earning the rank of lieutenant, she always found a way to minimize her accomplishments. She didn't see success as something she earned. She saw it as something she barely held on to. But her real humility showed when she found out who Dexter truly was. She didn't rage, she didn't judge. She looked inward. She questioned herself more than she questioned him. That's how much room she had left for doubt, even when she had every right to feel betrayed. In the end, Deborah's humility made her the heart of the show. It kept her grounded even when the world around her fell apart, and it's ultimately what broke her. If you want to know why the eye-struck killer is Dexter's most terrifying villain, make sure to watch this next video, and of course, subscribe.